Have you ever thought, I'm a woman, I'll never be as good at math as men? Or, I'm a man, people often make fun of my look. Sometimes these ideas come from the teacher's casual comments, an elder's offhand remark, or a friend's teasing after an exam. But once they took root in our minds, they work like an invisible spell, quietly shaping our actions and decisions without us even realizing it. Did you know that in Taiwan, about 2/3 of students in STEM fields, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics are men, while women make up only 1/3? Does this mean that men are naturally better at math and science than women? Actually, not entirely. Many studies have found out the learning environment plays a far more important role than we might expect. For example, girls attending all-girls school often achieve higher score in STEM subjects than those attending co-ed schools. Another study shows that when women make up the majority in a class, men are more willing to choose humanities as a major. These findings show that it's not gender that determines your ability, but rather the environment and expectations that influence your choices. This is where stereotype threat comes in. Some might think that stereotypes are just ideas that stay in our minds and don't really affect us. But in fact, these seemingly intangible stereotypes can impact how we perform. Many people probably have heard of Asians are great at math and women are bad at math. Then, what do we say about Asian women's performance in math? A psychologist from Harvard conducted an experiment by inviting Asian female college students to take a math exam. Before the exam, they filled out a questionnaire in which one group of the students would be reminded of their gender and the other that they are Asian. The result shows those reminded of their Asian identity outperformed those reminded of their gender. Stereotype threat is when people worry that their behaviors would attest to the stereotypical assumptions of their community. This anxiety affects their achievements and negatively impacts both individuals and communities, fear of their motivation and self-esteem, and undermines their performance. This is one of the reasons why, even if boys and girls perform equally well in math and science in high school in Taiwan, very few of the female students would choose STEM majors. It is quite surprising that just hearing of these stereotypical images of us, we are likely to underperform and lose a sense of true self like being cursed. It happens to any communities that have been given negative stereotypes. Such communities include indigenous or Southeast Asia students in Taiwanese schools, male therapists, and elderly workers. So, what can we do about it? Recognizing injustice is the first step towards social improvement. When someone enters a group they don't feel like they belong to, a strong sense of insecurity and unfamiliarity can prevent them from performing at their best. But with a more diverse environment, it can offer the greater sense of safety. Secondly, demystify stereotypes and practice self-affirmation. We must first understand how stereotype threats affect us. Making assumptions without verifying could cause big issues. We have to keep in mind that never judge a book by its cover. Then, we can build confidence and a sense of security through self-affirmation. This helps us stop worrying about confirming stereotypes by making mistakes and instead focus on our own growth and goals rather than on the achievements of the group we belong to. When Jolene Tsai won an award for her song Momsley, she said, "Yeongji reminded me that under any circumstances, I could become part of some minorities." In fact, this also reminds us that at some point in life, anyone can find themselves trapped by stereotypes, like invisible voices whispering, "You can't do it," or "You're not as good as others." But if we choose to stop listening to those voices and dare to challenge those limited frames, we can gain true freedom to do what we truly want to do and to become who we truly are.